don't let the bastards grind you down. And so the antidote to that scenario, which is going to happen, no matter what we do in life, it's going to happen. Naysayers, negative thoughts, environmental issues, whatever, the economy, whatever that may be, whatever that looks like. If we have enough reasons why that make us cry for the goal, then we will be very determined to not let the bastards grind us down.
How you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly. I'm joined by Jim Shorkey and Dave Long. Dave, thank you so much for joining us. We're excited that you're
welcome.
here.
Happy to be here.
Give me some.
We just want to hear your story. You have a really impactful, meaningful story of your son just learning to seek some expert counsel. So walk me and walk the audience through this story that's hard, right? It's real, it's emotional.
It's been a wild ride for the past month and a half. We found out on May 29th that David has a bone tumor. David is my son. He's 13 years old. He is an avid wrestler at Montour and Gladiator Wrestling Clubs. He plays football, has since he was in second grade. Both wrestling and football are his life. And all during the winter time, he was experiencing some pain in his knee, and we threw everything homeopathic at it. We bought the ElectroStim TENS pads. He's putting them on every night. We bought cupping devices, these thermo cupping things. I'm just trying to do that. Massage, BioFreeze, cold plunge, everything. Nothing's helping, and it's just progressively getting worse. So we go to this wrestling tournament in Virginia Beach. Plays a little bit about his knee, but nothing crazy. The matches aren't very long, but we go to practice on Monday when we get back, and he can't make it through the whole thing.
Wow. So hey, could I interrupt for a second, Dave?
Sure,
I apologize.
sure. No, go ahead.
Just to be clear, when you're an athlete, there is going to be pain. There is going to be injury. There is going to be different things that crop up. Now, if it's a really bad injury, you got to stop. But in Dave's case, David and Dave here, we're athletes. And so we know that sometimes you got to push through. So that's what they were attempting to do. It wasn't homeopathy as in, okay, I got a pain in my knee. I got to keep going. I got a wrestling tournament this weekend, for example, which clearly, as the evidence shows now, probably young David shouldn't have done. But it wasn't like they were like this guy here was being irresponsible.
Right. It wasn't neglect.
It's an athletic situation. And they were pressing through the pain barrier, whatever we're going to call it. And so I just want to make that clear. This guy's the real deal. And so it wasn't irresponsible in any way, shape, or form. It was just athletes having pain. Let's go. Okay, Dave, can you pick it up from there, please?
Yeah. At no point did we think anything was a torn ACL or something that was really holding him back. We go to practice on Monday. He can't make it through the whole thing. He's like, all right. So we go to practice on Tuesday. He can't make it through the whole thing. We're leaving practice, and he says, Dad, you think we can get an x-ray? I said, sure. That's no big deal. We'll go to Children's at the UPMC Mario Lemieux Sports Complex up in Cranberry. It's sports medicine oriented. Again, that's what we were thinking it was. And maybe luckily, their radiology department was closed that week, and they sent us down to Wexford. So different radiologists, and he looks at the x-ray and says, you know what, there's something there. And I'm looking at the x-ray and I can't see anything. It's just a little blurry spot. And they're like, you need to go get an MRI. So we run down to Lawrenceville to the main children's hospital. And at 1:15 in the morning, David goes back and gets his MRI. Took about an hour. And at 3:30 in the morning, the doctor came in and said, yeah, you have a tumor. So, you know, all the things, shock, grief, you're going through all the stages real fast. This is my son. This is my legacy. You know, I only have one, and he is the apple of my eye, so to say. Yeah. Fear, huge fear. What's going to happen? And we were there at the hospital for another 2 hours. The oncologist, I'm guessing they woke her up, and she came in, Dr. Kate Magnan. She's been wonderful. We really love her. And so she shows up and she talks us through some next steps. And we left there with a sense of hope. The fear dissipated. We didn't want to run from it. We were going to face everything and rise. And what does this look like now? And so the next 3 weeks leading up until 6/16, we got a CT scan, they did a PET scan, and they also biopsied it just to find out everything about it. Turns out it is cancer. It's not just a benign tumor, but luckily it is only localized. Bone cancer is different than any other kind of cancer in that they don't stage it. There's no staging in this. It is localized or metastasized. So we're lucky that it's localized. Bone cancer is also different in that it's not a fleshy mass like lung cancer or skin cancer can be. There's no bumps. It is actually bone cellular matrix that is growing. And so if it would spread to the lungs, or then you would literally have bone growing in your lung. It would not be good bone.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. I'm an old worn-out car salesman. This guy here, a chef. This is not medical advice. I want to be very clear about this. Dave is telling you about a journey, but please don't take this as medical advice. Dave is doing what he's doing based on very good collaboration with the whole medical team and et cetera. But it's not medical advice. We're not qualified to give you medical advice. So don't change anything unless you talk to your doctors, your team per se. Am I right? Am I clear about that?
You're
I want to make
right.
sure you understand it, because this is a medical situation, clearly, and one that we just want to, if you're out there and you're suffering, listening to this guy's message may give you some ideas that you can pursue on your own as well. So sorry about the interruption.
No worries. So we find out now what's the game plan. And the game plan is a regimen of chemotherapy for 10 weeks ahead of knee surgery. In this case, it's going to be a full knee replacement, which for David, being the athlete that he is almost more devastating than the cancer diagnosis in general, because now we survive this and he's going to survive this. What does life look like for him after? And that's really where his mind is. And honestly, I'd rather him be thinking about the future than the now in this. That's my job. I want to think about today and help guide him as I have as his coach in sports for the last 8 years. And so it's been a lot. But so we did 2 rounds of the chemotherapy already. He got done with that, released from Children's, had some nausea. And when we went for their first blood work, it was 40. His platelets were at a 40 count. And I asked the nurse, what can we do to get that back? Like, where do we want to be? And the threshold's 150. That's the low end of the normal range for him. And so she was like, you could probably Google some stuff, but there's nothing I can tell you that's definitive on how to raise these platelet counts. That wasn't good enough for David. So we get out of the thing, and my parents were visiting, so we're in separate vehicles, and I just got a new Chevy pickup truck, so he wanted to ride with me back up to Cranberry, where my parents are staying at the hotel. And so we get in the truck, and after the shock of the new truck wears off, he's like, hey, we got to bump those numbers up. What can we do what can I eat in order to try to get my blood work back good? And a lot of this can be delayed. The chemotherapy regimen can actually be delayed if the blood work doesn't come back properly. And so we want to not delay this at all. We're looking to be done in the middle of January. If all goes according to plan, it's not going to. We're realistic about that, but we don't want to start out behind the 8 ball. We want to move forward as much as we can. So we look it up, and one of the foods that can help raise platelet count, according to Dr. Google, is strawberries. That's an easy one. He loves strawberries. So he ate all the strawberries, and he went on Monday to a platelet count of 40. To the next time he got his blood work done on Thursday, it was a 155.
That's awesome.
So here we go. Yes. We got a kid that just doesn't want to be held down and just trying to stay the course, right? And take life on life's terms, seeking expert counsel. You know, the internet's not always great, but it can give you a way to go. And so here we know now that these strawberries worked for him. So we'll eat all of them.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's interesting. Dave and I, we had this conversation, the exact conversation. And I said to Dave, I jokingly said, Dave, you're stealing all my stuff. And he says, yeah, Uncle Jim, I know. And I said, why, what, how? He says to me, and this is just an aside, that he's my biggest fan, which I wasn't aware of this. I really wasn't. I honestly wasn't. That he follows me, he watches this, and he starts repeating back to me some of the things that I've said in the past.
That's awesome.
And mainly the expert counsel, and I say this 1,000 times if I've said it once. Find somebody who is smarter than you, have a conversation, somebody that's done what you want to do, and have that conversation and develop your list. And in this case, the list is strawberries, and there's probably other things as well, which Dave will figure out. But at the end of the day, what I thought was remarkable was that it wasn't so much Dave that said this. Young David said, Dad, Google that. Google that. And am I right?
Find something I can do to get these numbers good.
13 years old. That's brilliant. So I'm joking with Dave and trying to make it a little light. And Dave says to me, Uncle Jim, and I'll let you tell the story, carry it from here. But he said some things that made me cry and made me emotional. And our goal, Derek and my goal, and Jess, has always been to reach one person in a positive manner and cause a life-changing event. And I've always said that one person would bring me great joy if I could just have an impact with what we're doing here on one person. And I've followed it with, if it's 10, that's 10 times the joy. If it's 100, that's 100 times the joy. And when we set out with this thing years ago, I did not anticipate this scenario. But now we have our one person. Do you hear that? And Dave, I want Dave to pick it up from here, but we have that one person, and that's this guy right here, along with his young son, David. And so it's like, and I said it to Dave Long right here. I said, Dave, would you be willing to come on to the podcast and let's have a conversation about this? Because maybe we can help somebody that's out there suffering from whatever, and maybe we can give them some cause for pause and ideas and whatnot. So that's really why we're here today, is to have that conversation.
Yeah, the reason why that's a huge one right now, and pushing us to figure out the answers. The doctors do this all the time. They've 100, 200, 300 patients in the course of their careers. I only have one kid to focus on.
Wow.
And I want to do it right. There is no trial and error here. So, what can we do today to make sure he's on the right path? And what does this look like in the future for him? So we just had a conversation with the orthopedic surgeon, and his job is to save my kid's life and give him the best quality. He doesn't necessarily care about what David does after this heals up, right? Yeah. So he's like, yeah, you're not going to wrestle ever again. Oh, you're not going to play football. That's not good enough. So we're trying to find out, what can we do to give him that? Does he just do Greco-Roman that doesn't touch the legs? That's a style of wrestling. Does he just play 7-on-7 football where there's no tackling, it's just flags? So we really have to stay on the path of this. The life will continue, and he's not going to lose everything, because honestly, he's ready just to cut his leg off, and so he knows he can wrestle again. But that doesn't help him 40, 50, 60 years from now. That's the short term. And he did come around on that. But my life is full of adages. I'm a recovering alcoholic, 6.5 years sober. And I'm also just an executive chef. I'm not a brainiac. I have to think about things in adages, life on life's terms. Life will grind you down, but you can't let it. Uncle Jim's illegitimate non-carbureum. I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Don't let the bastards grind you down. And the bastards don't have to be just people. They can be. It's an idea. Don't let cancer grind you down. Don't let work grind you down. I worked 26 days in a row in the month of May. I was just as fresh on the 26th day as I was the first, because it's just what it is. Don't let it grind you down. And you got to stay positive in everything that we do. Everything we do, and David's doctors are doing this. They're attacking this urgently and aggressively. I did not think on May 29th that we were going to be where we are today. I had no idea what the timetable was going to look like. But for them to do all these tests in 3 weeks, and he's sitting there in a bed at Children's on the 16th of June, it was very quick. And we're talking about the knee surgery. That's 8 weeks from now, and it's a custom part, so they got to start working on that. And this is moving. This is a train that's moving full steam ahead. And that's exactly where we want to be. We want to be urgent, we want to be aggressive, and overall, we want to be unremarkable. We do not want to be in the textbook somewhere going, this guy had this problem. We want to just get through this as unremarkably as possible. And maybe that's how we end up in the textbook. Hey, this is how this kid did this, and this is now the blueprint for what we want other people.
Wouldn't that be wonderful just to be helpful? And that's what this is all about. Trying to put it out there. And you're doing a great job, Dave. By the way, Derek, what do you think?
Absolutely.
Doing a great job.
Yeah.
And you're putting your heart on the line here, and you're very vulnerable. And we all are. And we, Derek and I, do not have, we don't have what you have in terms of this is a devastating thing. In every way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And granted, we're hoping for the best outcome, but it doesn't change the fact that when you hear the news that you heard on that particular day, it had to knock you down.
Oh, ton of bricks, if anything, ever.
So when you talk about the bastards grinding you down, David, I know this kid since he's a baby. He's my nephew. He was ground down. There's no way around it. And so because of his training over the years, he knew what he needed to do, which is to get unground down. He needed to get unground down. That wasn't going to serve any purpose. But at that day, I guarantee you, you were ground down. So when we say that, it's okay to be ground down. It is. Don't let the bastards grind you down. It's okay to let them grind you down. Just don't stay there. That's what we're trying to say today. Just don't stay there. We got to figure out a way to get ourselves out of that hole of being ground down.
And there's ways to do that. There's many ways to get yourself out of the bottom. 6.5 years ago, when I first got sober, and they're going through, what are your reservations? What are some things that, in the future, you're going to drink again? I never would have thought about it at that time, but if you'd have told me that my kid was diagnosed with cancer, I'm probably putting that on the list. I'm putting that on I'm going to the bar and I'm drinking immediately. I know that's it. And I didn't do that. I didn't even think about drinking, other than I thought about not thinking about drinking. People would ask, how you doing? I'd be like, I'm good. I'm just trying to move through this. And no, how are you? Are you thinking about drinking? And I was like, no, that's stinking thinking. That's not something that I'm into. I can't weaken myself at this moment. And that's all alcohol does to you. And that's a soapbox for another day. But I have to stay in the clear and present mind in order to seek expert counsel, to move through this, to look at everything from every angle, because that's how we're going to get through this and continue to live after it's all over. That is your reason why it doesn't make you cry. That is so big. It goes in everything that we do in life. I was just talking to my new line cook about it. Because of my schedule being changed due to David's in and out of the hospital here, I needed to train a new kid to be a breakfast cook. 4 a.m. is what time we got to be there for breakfast. He's saying, it's the hardest thing. I said, I understand that. I said, it is the hardest thing. Cooking breakfast is the easy part. Getting out of bed at 3:30 to get here is the hard part. But I do it because it gives me a quality of life with my son after work. I get off work at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and I still have the evening. That he is my reason why, and that's why I'm willing to suffer, so to say, at 3:30 in the morning. So I said, Sky, I need you to get on board with me here. I need you to cover Monday and Tuesday for the next 3 weeks because of my situation. And he's like, I got it. And so I'm asking him to step outside his comfort zone. A 25-year-old kid shouldn't have any problem getting up at 4 a.m., but maybe he's still going to bed at that time. The reason why you got to have passion. I can't talk about how many times I look at David in the last month and a half and I do start crying. And that is why I have to keep myself focused and working to really be the best dad, be the best coach I can be through this.
But please take a minute here and just think about what I'm going to say next. And Dave, excuse me, knows exactly what I'm going to say. I think, don't let the bastards grind you down. And so the antidote to that scenario, which is going to happen, no matter what we do in life, it's going to happen. Naysayers, negative thoughts, environmental issues, whatever, the economy, whatever that may be, whatever that looks like. If we have enough reasons why that make us cry for the goal, then we will be very determined to not let the bastards grind us down. This kid's suffering. He's suffering. So, but he really has been a true warrior. And he's been a warrior in that this is so important because of a deep love for his young son, David, that he's just not going to let the bastards grind him down. He's just not going to let it happen. So that's his antidote, is you got to just get out. You don't belong in this brain right now. This can't happen. So he has really great answers for that. I congratulate you. I do want Derek to jump in here, but tell me why your head's shaved right now, please.
So it's inevitable that David's going to lose his hair, and we cut it short. He's 13, so he's been doing different things to his hair. We had leopard print in there. He did some like lightning strike design. It was really cool. And, we shaved it down. And then the other day he was rubbing his head and some hair came out. And so he was like, all right, it's time. And I told him, I said, look, we're a team. We're in this together. This is like our new uniform, right? This is part of our, how we're going through. And if your head's shaved and you don't have any hair, then I'm not either. And so he said to me before he put the clippers in my hair there, and he goes, you don't have to do this. I said, no, I do. You need to do it, and I need to do it. That's the end of it. So we sat there, and he shaved my head, and he made fun of me for losing my hair at the front already. And it's not much to cut there, but that's what you got to do. That's what I have to do for my son, to show him that I am as committed to him, and he knows that. Let's be honest. He knows I'm his dad. I love him very much, but like I said, this is our new uniform.
Symbolic, very symbolic.
And I just, again, like Uncle Jim said, this is my experience, strength, and hope that I'm trying to share. I take it for what it is. It's not medical advice.
Yeah.
No, God, no. But maybe the advice that we're talking about, which is advice to a large extent, maybe it will help. Not just, that's the wrong choice of words, but one person is our goal today. 2 is twice the joy. 10 is 10 times the joy. We just want to be a beacon of hope for you today. In terms of whatever you're going through, there's all kinds of things that we go through in life that can grind us down. Derek, you're up.
Yeah, I think you were just sharing that story of just you guys being unified, right? You shaved your head because it's like, we're in this together. No matter what happens, we're in. Right. And that's that moment where like, we're all 3 dads sitting here, right?
Yes, we are.
Jim has kids, I have kids, you have kids. It's like, as a dad, you're like, how do I bring unity to my family? Right? That would have been easy for you could have just said, oh no, I don't have to shave it. But it's like, you want to fight together, right? It's like, you're on the same team. You're not like, oh, I hope you figure this out. You're leading well as a dad. You're being diligent,
Great
right?
job.
And so that's important, right? So if you're struggling out there and you've heard Dave's story and David's story, I hope it really encourages you. I hope it encourages you to think, okay, I can make a plan. And maybe the plan doesn't work out exactly how you guys plan it. And most plans don't. But you can have a plan and know how to pivot, know how to deviate. When maybe this scan took 2 weeks longer than you thought. Okay, well, what can we do in the meantime? Right. And having that plan that you can adapt and adjust, I really believe you guys are going to beat this thing and come out.
I do too.
And he may even find, I have this other passion over here that he might get to 16, 17, 18, 20 and be like, I'm really excited about this other thing. And so it's just like being diligent in the moment.
And that's life on life's terms, right?
Yeah.
And when I'm not God. I don't get to dictate life. There's a higher power out. Life is the higher power. There's a lot of influences for all of us that we don't get to control. 7.5, 8 billion people in the world. And I get to just control me. I get to help out other people, but I can only control myself. Exactly. So we just have to keep that in mind. And again, no stinking thinking. No, can't.
Good for you, Dave. Good for you.
Can't let it get to us. We got to keep positive. Power of positivity.
And in the meantime, to be frank, and Dave knows this better than anybody, at the end of the day, it serves no purpose other than to grind you down. It's not that positivity is going to cure cancer. It's not that positivity is going to fix everything. But the bottom line is, in my view, and I think, Dave, if you disagree, please, but the negativity is going to take you down a really bad road. The positivity potentially is going to take you down a better road. It's not the do-all, end-all, but the science is definitely behind the positivity from a healing perspective versus the negative. Again, not medical advice, but the positivity is definitely an influencer versus the negativity also being an influencer. It's just going to influence this thing in the wrong direction versus the positivity influencing in the right direction. Agree or disagree?
Totally agree. I was told one time that positivity will open doors, negativity would close the doors. Might have heard that from you. That's really what it is. If you're negative and you're just thinking about the negatives and hey, I can't do this, life is getting to me, that's a hard way to live. But if you're positive and looking for to do the next right thing, another one of my favorite adages, just do the next right thing and the life will provide. It might not look exactly like what you want it to look like, but you will be happy when it comes, and it'll allow you to pivot a lot easier to have the life that you want.
Yeah, this is so good. Dave, thank you just for sharing with us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming on and just
welcome.
Sharing about your story that's so fresh still. It's not like this happened 3 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. This is like in your present moment. So thanks for your vulnerability. Thanks for your honesty in something you're living in. Right.
You're welcome.
Can I make one more for this? Dave, you said this to me, but I think David might have said it, or you said it. Somehow there was a conversation between you and David about this thing I'm going to bring up next. And maybe it was your mom. Somebody said this to me. I'm not sure the exact sequence of events, but the message was somehow we have to find something good in this. Explain, please.
And yeah, I mean, that is, I'm not sure who specifically said that, but I mean, that is what we're searching for, is the good in this. Why did this happen to us? So David goes in on this June 16th, before the chemo even started, and he's in 3 different scientific studies right now. The orthopedic surgeon asked him who suffered from bone sarcoma himself, 30 years ago. He was diagnosed with the exact same tumor that David has. It looked a little different 30 years ago. But anyhow, so he's devoted his life to studying osteosarcoma and helping children and people like himself. And he's a pretty top guy at UPMC, which, in my humble opinion, UPMC and Pittsburgh medicine is number 1 in the world, if not definitely in the top 5. And so this guy is in the top 1% of those guys and just knows his stuff. And so David signs up immediately for a study by Dr. Kurt Weiss. And then when he's in the hospital on the 16th, they came in and said, hey, we know you're doing this other study. Do you want to sign up for these others? And so bring them on. And he's signing up for everything. One of them's going to offer him $75 when it's all said and done. So that was a nice little incentive for him. 13 years old, $75 is a ton of money.
Sure.
But he did it before he knew that. And that's what that's one of his hopes, is that he is going to help someone, the question, hey, do you mind if I keep your tumor after we cut your knee apart? Yeah, no, go ahead. I want you to learn from this.
This young man, David, is a remarkable young man.
Yeah, he's a warrior. He's a gladiator.
He's a remarkable young man.
Through and through. He has never quit in his life. He didn't start out in wrestling or football being the number 1 guy. He wasn't a spark plug with early success on the mat or on the football field. But he worked and he grinded, and he just every day put in more and more effort. I remember his first year playing football. There's 30 kids on the K-2 second grade team, and he was just a number, right? Other kids have been playing for a year or 2 more. They seem to hand out all the positions already, and David's just a number. but he worked so hard that by the last game, he was starting on defense, to where when it started, he maybe played 5 minutes, if that, and 5 plays. He really wanted to work. And with wrestling, he won 1 match his very first year. 1. That was it. And he's qualified for the state tournament in Pennsylvania every year for the past 4 years now. At least one of the 2 state tournaments, if not both. And he is just wasn't handed anything when God was handing out talent. He didn't give him the aggressive gene. He had to learn how to be aggressive. He had to learn how to be talented and learn the technique. And with that just came this unwavering desire to keep moving forward, to be better yet tomorrow than I was yesterday. And he's had some good coaches along the way. Again, Justin Waters at Gladiators Wrestling Club is an awesome guy, has really helped push the urgency and aggressiveness with David, and he helped him turn a corner there. Seek expert counsel. Again, Justin knows way more about wrestling than I do. And that's the room we want to be in. And now Justin's coaching David. They never texted before this, but now Justin, they're texting with David and help keeping him positive, and can't coach him at practice. Just, not a good idea right now with the immune system to go into a room full of sweaty guys, but
with germs.
Yeah, tons of germs. And knowing that this coach is taking a very influential attitude with David right now it's more than I could ever ask for. That's the foundation for everything, really. It's part of it, right? There is no one keystone in all this. No, it falls right in with, does your reason why make you cry? You gotta want it. You gotta want to do what gets you out of bed in the morning. During COVID, I thought I wanted to maybe leave the kitchen, right? I've been a professional chef now for 25 years. I've been in a kitchen, and COVID, I got to reset a little bit. And do I want to do this? But I love getting out of bed for 600 person parties. That's my, you gotta wanna. 60 hours a week. Some people would, I'm not going to do that, but you got to want to do it. And it's the thing with adages is, again, I'm not the smartest man. I can't quote Thoreau. I read a C.S. Lewis saying, and I love it, right? And I might meditate on it, but I'm going to forget it. But these little quick adages that, you got to want to, it rolls off your tongue. Don't let the bastards grind you down. That stuff has staying power. And that's what I need in order to move through life. Those are the things that are easy for me to remember.
How about yes, I can?
Yes, I can. The power, again, power of positivity. Yes, I can. That's a positive, powerful statement that, really speaks to, I'm going to do this. Who was it? Oda, there is no try. I might fail, right? I might fail if I'm going to do something new, but I just found another way that I'm not going to do it again. And that whole just keep figuring it out. I put a new belt on my tractor. Never did that before. It fell off really quickly. I'm going to have to go back and watch another YouTube video about that. But I can do it. I don't need to take my tractor to the shop. I can get this done. And that's something very simple, but it's all about determination and staying the course.
So speak to this for me, will you please? One of my favorite Napoleon Hill quotes, how I feel about Napoleon Hill. One of my favorite Napoleon Hill quotes is, desire, you got to want to, backed by faith, yes, I can, knows no such word is impossible. So I want you to think about this in terms of young David. Desire, backed by faith, knows no such word is impossible. What if that's true? How do we turn impossible into possible? We do that by growing our desire, you got to want to, and by growing our faith, yes, I can. And by the way, back to the yes, I can. My question I always ask Dave here, is, Dave, the thing that you want to do, has anybody ever done that before? Yeah, they have. Well, then why not you?
Right.
Have we talked about this?
Oh, yeah.
Why not you?
Yeah.
So if your desire is strong enough and your faith is strong enough, then that's how we're going to turn impossible into possible. And if it's not strong enough, then we got to work on getting it stronger, which is where the adages and the affirmations and different things. I gave young David an affirmation that I wanted him to work on, and I'm going to leave that off the table for now. But desire backed by faith knows no such word is impossible. That is a powerful thought.
Yeah, it is. I think it's recognizing, hey, where do I want to go and how do I get there? Right? And it's okay. I needed to do this. I needed not to do right. And you had that. I'm not going to drink. That's a powerful goal. Right? And we're not going to stay stuck. Like you're probably stuck for a day, 2 days, maybe a couple of days. But you're like, we're not going to stay stuck. We're going to get a team around us. We're going to figure out this plan. It may not go perfectly, but we're going to be in this together. We're going to be unified. And I think that's powerful for people listening. That's powerful to say, oh, I feel stuck. I'm not sure my move. And maybe they're not in the exact situation you are or David's in. But what can they do to move forward? What can they do to take that next step? So thanks for sharing with us that story. It was powerful. Thanks for taking the time out. You guys have a really busy schedule right now with all the appointments. So thanks for taking the time to be here.